Good.
You're good.
Ready? Okay. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Thursday, October 23rd meeting of the Culver Town Council. A couple of housekeeping items. First of all, this meeting is being recorded. Your participation is your consent to be rebroadcast and recorded on the town's YouTube channel. Secondly, any electronic device you have, if you would either put it on an airplane or turn it off, it'd be appreciated. And for those in the audience that may not be familiar, we have a council that's online tonight, and when we do votes, we're going to do a roll call vote. So the vote will take much longer, but it's a little different than what we normally do by saying aye or nay. So anyway, that being said, roll call, please.
William Cleavenger,
Present.
Jenny Monroe,
Here.
Dana Neer,
Here.
Sally Ricciardi.
Will you all join me, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the October 9th, 2025 regular meeting. Councilors, any additions or corrections to the minutes? Mr. Ricciardi moves to approve the minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
William Cleavenger,
Aye.
Jenny Monroe,
Aye.
Dana Neer,
Aye.
Sally Ricciardi.
Aye. Thank you very much. We have a guest speaker tonight, Mr. Tim Starr from Marshall County Hope. He's going to give us an update.
Great. Do I need to come up here or just
Whatever.
walk away, right? I'll talk away from here then. Good evening, folks. I'd like to thank Ms. Karen for inviting me down. As mentioned, my name is Tim Starr. I'm with Marshall County Hope. I grew up in Plymouth, graduated from Plymouth High School in 1981. From there, I joined the United States Navy. And when I got done with my 6 years in the Navy, I went to work for Walt Disney World down in Orlando, Florida, where I was an engineering manager for 23 years. I retired and moved back to Plymouth. When I got back to Plymouth, I was having a problem finding a need because I've always had a need in my life. So I joined a group of people, and that would be the Marshall County Hope. Marshall County Hope was started in 2020, just before the big outbreak of COVID. And unfortunately, it didn't get off the ground because of people being isolated and things like that. So we're doing a rebranding. We started back up about a year ago, and they brought me on as their director of the program. Basically, what we do at Marshall County Hope is we assist people with substance use disorders. And Marshall County Hope is kind of unique in the way that we're set up. We're not one organization. We are a group of about 35 to 40 different organizations that work together for a common goal. And by that, I mean people like Bowen Health, Beacon Health, St. Joe, CASA in Marshall County, the Poor Church Maids. There's just, like I said, 35 to 40 different groups that work together. And we work with people that are struggling with substance use disorder. We work with people that are in JCAP that have been arrested. We have a program where we go out to the jail, we work with people, and then when they get released, we help them get into one of many programs. And my job is to meet with these people and decide which program would suit them in the county the best. We operate right now on the opioid settlement funding that the big pharma gave to the different areas. And one of our things here in Marshall County that people don't understand is, and it has to do with the stigma involved in drugs and alcohol abuse. And what concerns me and surprises a lot of people is Marshall County has 48,000 people that live in this county. All right, we know for a fact there's 6,400 people in this county that have substance use disorders. But that's not really the shocking number, people. The shocking number is if you think about it conservatively, if every one of those 6,400 people affects one other person in the county, that makes that number 12,800 people, which is a fourth of this county. All right, so what we try to do is we try to work with people and we try to get them educated. We get them on a path of recovery, but we also work with children. Earlier today, I did a 2-hour seminar that I've been doing for 3 weeks now with some troubled youth in Marshall County. And these programs are expensive, the books are expensive, and that's what the intentions are of the funds that I have requested from Culver, is that we would use it to cover the book. And the program is called Cleavenger. It's a very successful, peer-approved program where we go in and we talk to kids that are teenagers, and hopefully we get them on the straight and narrow in life. Great. Anybody have any questions about Marshall County Hope? My number's on there. If you have any, my email's on there. One of my concerns is, and I've been mentioning it to some of the other towns and cities I go to in the county, is the opioid settlements. There is a list of, we call it Exhibit E, and Exhibit E says what the settlement dollars can be used for. And my biggest concern in Marshall County, and it's already happened to me once where I lost $7,000, is a group of people, meaning a township or a community, will have somebody that has a pet project that they want to get done, and it may not meet Exhibit E. So what they try to do is they take one item from Exhibit E and they put it inside their pet project, and then they take the money and they run with it. I'm trying everything I can do to lobby our different towns, and almost everything that Marshall County Hope does through our different affiliates and our partners is tied to Exhibit E. So I will send that to Karen. And then she can forward it to all of you if you have any questions about Exhibit E and how the state intended the opioid funding to be used from the settlements. I just have concerns that going forward that I know there's a couple groups in Marshall County that are trying to get access to that funding. So I just wanted you folks to be aware of what's going on. We all know we're a rural community. SB1 killed us, all right, and it killed a lot of our programs. But I'd really like you folks to look at Exhibit E and make sure that any settlement funding that's being used or any programs, and we're willing to partner with people too to help them understand Exhibit E, the opioid settlement rulings, and we want to help the different communities. I have a very passionate group of people that I work with.
Thank you very much. Counselors, any questions?
Just 2 questions. You may have said this, Tim. How much is each book?
I think the books run around $20. They're very expensive. It's a good program. I could get a sample of the books down here. There's 4 different ones. And it's a fact-based study that was done to create this program. The program's called Cleavenger, and I'll send Karen a link to that so she can share it with you. And you have to be certified by the Cleavenger group to participate in that program and implement it in your community.
Question 2 is, how many times have you been to Culver schools?
I have not been to Culver schools, but I have been to the Culver Library. I started this position in April, and I'm still getting acclimated with staffing and things like that. But my intentions, and Stan and Jesse and Adam, all of them have talked to me, and they want us to do a lot of work with kids. And when I was in high school, I was very, very smart, but I was bored. So I would smoke marijuana. I started drinking young. When I worked at Disney, I had a broken foot. My doctor put me on opioids and told me it was safe, right? Then I couldn't sleep from the opioids. So then he gave me a drug called Ambien. And I said, is this safe? Yeah, it's safe. I didn't know, but I was addicted for a long time. So I have firsthand knowledge. And most people think that the people that have substance abuse problems, they own it. I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. Okay, there is some ownership. It was my problem, but when my doctor told me everything was safe, you got to run with your doctor. There's a lot of people in this county that are in that boat. The other thing is we have children in this county. 21% of the people that have substance use disorder in Marshall County learn from their parents and family. Okay, so it's, if you've raised your kids and you haven't experienced it, That's excellent. I'm happy to hear that. But there are people in this community, especially children, and I can normally walk into a program or walk into a high school and I can just tell by their mannerisms, how they address people and how they're acting. It's a definite problem here, and I'm hoping that people don't try to sweep it underneath the rug.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Tim, thank you very much for.
All right. If anybody ever has any questions for me, feel free to reach out, and I'd be more than happy to get involved in the schools, Mr. Dana, if you'd like me to come down. All right, we'll reach out.
Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is public concern, utility ordinance violation appeals. Anyone in the room for?
Yeah, I'd like to say something. I've had, my name is David Rhodes. I'm with Park and Shop Supermarkets right down the road here. We've had major problems. I mean, obviously this construction is just about over, right? But it has been an absolute nightmare as far as customer contact, public concern, like allowing any kind of basic citizen to be able to know where they're supposed to go, where they're supposed to be. And then I've been real quiet, real calm, and it came to a bit of a crux for me yesterday when they shut me down. They shut the whole road down with no notice for about 4 to 5 hours. And, I had 6 to 8 employees standing around wondering where the business is going to be. And I just feel like whether or not we can do anything about it now is maybe not so much. But Janice from the bank, she may speak as well. I'm not sure. But it really hurt us, even that 5 hours. And that wasn't even the only time that it hurt us during this 6 weeks. I mean, I've seen at least a 25% decrease in sales, but I understand that. But to not have any kind of notice on a complete, absolute shutdown when I could have been notified my vendors, notify my employees. I could have opened up at noon that day. It was extremely discerning. So I just figured that at least needs to be on the record.
Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention.
We did have a temporary shutdown. I'm not sure it was for 4 or 5 hours, but it did interfere with the delivery that was coming into Park and Shop. Some of the communication, looking into it, trying to find out exactly what was communicated milestone. They did keep the one lane open and was switching. What happened was they paved on the west side of the road, not allowing that truck to be able to cross over into the parking shop parking lot to give their delivery. Bob Porter and I went down with the forklift, got the pallet, tried to help out with David. I could tell David was frustrated. It has interfered, obviously. No construction zone is not going to interfere. We tried to keep the traffic as open as possible. I think it's probably about an hour and a half that we interfered, but we had one lane of traffic coming in. But I've had conversations with Jenna about some of the things about the bank. The early signage was an issue. People didn't know where to go. Everything was addressed with milestone. We tried to do a timely fix on it from the town standpoint. Always working with contractors is complicated and trying to keep businesses open. We certainly didn't want to shut down that road at all. We tried to keep it open, and for the most part, we kept the lane going for the duration of the construction. But again, I do understand your frustration. It was warranted probably because some of the disturbances. And I appreciate you reaching out to me to communicate. Hopefully we try to get on things quickly and fix them. But I think once we're done, I think we're going to have better storm down there. The road looks pretty good. But moving forward, I definitely will try to do a better job of communicating. And David, you mentioned that yesterday. I want you to know I noted it. So thank you.
I do appreciate it. And I needed the council to just kind of hear it essentially. And then I do feel that if this were to happen in downtown, downtown Culver, whatever, the Cafe Max, all the other stacks, but places that you'd have 10 people standing here, but instead you only have 2. So that's just my thought. I just had to say it.
Well, thank you for bringing it to our attention. Do you wish to address the council?
Yeah, just in the future, I don't know if there'll be construction on that road again, but like communication to just,
Excuse me, ma'am.
oh,
Would you identify?
Yeah, my name's Jenna Fairchild. I work at the First National Bank of Monterey
Thank
over
you.
there. But in the future, if there is another construction project or something, communication for us, because we did have a lot of people coming in asking us, how are we supposed to navigate? And in the early stages, we weren't able to really clearly give them that answer. But then at the same time, the construction company kind of got a little crazy on people were getting frustrated trying to go both ways and they were trying to manage that, but we need to be really clear on that. And it just became a bit of a safety issue because there was some near misses. They were all misses, thankfully, but it had the potential to be a little bit more problematic than it ended up being, thankfully. But just that communication to allow us to be able to help you too would be helpful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone online? Hearing nothing, we'll move on to the next item. It's public dialogue, and now we have a public hearing on ordinance 2025-013, Culver investment disannexation. Bill, may I have a motion from the council for, to open the public hearing? It's been moved by Mr. Neer. Thanks, Ms. Ricciardi.
William Cleavenger,
Aye.
Jenny Monroe,
Aye.
Peter Neer.
Aye.
Sally Ricciardi.
Aye.
I have 746. Okay. Council,
Who's presenting this tonight, you know?
Is this the visitor
No.
center?
No,
Oh,
this,
sorry.
Mr. Best, you heard it for disannexation. Would you like to address the council concerning your petition for disannexation?
Yeah, we just looking at the property, talking with Bobby Utilities and the availability that town's aware of it, that there's not a lot of utilities available. We're keeping the 22-acre parcel, which is closest to the utilities for future developments, which we see possibly in maybe 3 years when my grandkids come. I probably started to that one. But at this point, there's not enough to expand into that parcel. So we're thinking might as well sell it, and between us and in the city worrying about the cost of utilities to get them to the site. We were at a basically a planning meeting, and they mentioned, hey, just pull it back out of the city. Then the issue goes away for the city. It goes away for us because we don't want the city to get, that to bear on them either, that somebody would do that. So it seemed like the best route for everybody to go and just pull it back out. It's just the one parcel, the other parcel we're still leaving in, which at some point we'll probably put 60 homes into. I mean, I've spoken to Kevin, I'll tell you about this. I spoke to Mr. Estes attorney, Steve Snyder. And I have from a legal perspective, I have no problem with their petition to disannex this parcel. I think it actually clears up some confusion over a prior economic development agreement it was involved with that never came to fruition. And ultimately, we're going to address 2 additional parcels that were sold off and disannex those as well and clean up that prior economic development agreement from, actually it was from, but I wasn't here, but remember what year that was, Kevin?
2018.
There you go. Okay.
I believe that's when,
Pre-COVID, I held it.
it began in 2018, and there were 5 parcels, I think, that were in that economic development agreement. And the one that you're mentioning that you're not disannexing was part of that economic
Yes.
development as
Yeah.
well. So there might be 3 parcels we're addressing rather than just the 2 to the north, because
Yeah, but this petition's
Yeah.
for one parcel.
Yeah.
I was just addressing the 2 that I think Mr. Bestie sold off
yes.
before.
Yeah.
So. But otherwise, I don't see any issue with it from a legal perspective.
I think
anyone?
Kevin answered my question on that, because that was gonna be my question was, I remember that economic development agreement in the event that we annexed and he developed. I believe it made him responsible for utilities for the point where we left off with the burger development. So, if, Mr. Tankersley is good with cleaning that up, I'm good with it as well.
And cleaning it up is just, I guess, clear about that is we don't want there to be any confusion about future purchasers of these properties, if there's any obligation on either them or the town to run utilities to these properties. So I think that was
Yeah.
kept main concern, and I agree. So this will fix that issue. This will be, whatever we do, this particular ordinance that you pass it tonight will get recorded at the Marshall County Recorder's Office, and anybody that's looking into that property would get, you have a C that it was disannexed, not be under any confusion.
Mr. Mason.
Two readings
No,
today? or-
I'm sorry.
I don't know yet. We don't know that.
So the two properties you're talking about is on north side of State Road 10, just onto the south side of State Road 10.
That one. On this side of the state road.
Oh, okay.
The parcels.
It has
north-
three.
Parcels north of 10 originally, we went through all this. The city and us agreed that no utilities were gonna cross 10.
Yeah, you're right. It says that in the agreement, but just to be clear.
No, I know, I hear you, but get anymore.
Yeah. And here. Just the parcel on the south side.
Just tell them.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I don't remember. You remember how many acres? How big is that? On you're just saying it's
34.
34 acres.
Mr. Mason.
I'm Russ Mason, 530 Forest Place. I'm still not clear. Is it, how many parcels are being de-annexed? 1, 2, 3?
One.
The one that is south of 10?
Yes.
It's 34 acre parcel. You probably can't tell from there. But
I'll just give you my 2 cents. I remember everything that took place with the PUD and the agreement by the developer that if they were granted the PUD, they would acquiesce to be annexed into town. They would be responsible for the utilities.
Right.
That's the way it was. I have never heard of anything like this before in all my time in Indiana. I've never heard of a town de-annexing property. Maybe it's happened, but I've never heard of it. You got to remember, people, that
Actually, by statute, sir. It's Indiana Code 36-4-3-11.4. When you do an economic development agreement that involves the municipality participating in a development agreement that would result in the running utilities or other efforts like that, if it's not completed within 36 months, it actually, by statute, is disannexed. So there is, supported by Indiana Code,
what's not completed.
the economic development agreement terms.
If it's automatic, then why are we having a discussion?
Like,
You say it's automatic.
there's a statute that automatically does it, but it's to clean it up, like I said, because then the ordinance gets recorded in the Marshall County Recorder's Office.
Is it mandatory that the town do
Do what? Record it?
the de-annexation? My experience, people, is that every time, let me finish talking about what I have to say. Okay? Every year, it becomes more costly for the town to operate. Salaries, supplies, insurance benefits, okay? The costs keep going up. To put the burden on the people that are already in town is a hardship. The way towns prosper is by annexation and growing. Reversing that makes no sense whatsoever. It just doesn't make any sense. You want to take in property and grow the town so that the base becomes higher for the taxes and it spreads the burden to the rest of the people in the town.
We'd love to develop it if you want to expand the sewer.
And that's the problem, Mr. Mason. I think that you're
I don't
right.
think,
In a lot of models, I think you're right. If you can annex and you have easy access to the utilities. However, the nearest hookup for these properties that are questioned that were annexed, they were conditionally annexed with the understanding there would be economic development and the development would pay for those utilities. However, with the defaulting of the economic development agreement, according to Indiana statute that's outlined that Mr. Tankersley mentioned, it automatically goes to disannexation after 3 years of non-development. To protect the town, protect the town from the cost of having to provide utilities. Annex has the burden of the town to annex or to provide utilities, which would be, if you figure a quarter mile of sticking for sewer and water alone, would offset any benefit of taxation for over 10 to 20 years that we would gain from that property easily. And I'm being generous with the taxation rate on that property. That's assuming if we get development out there. I agree with you. I think there is models in which annexation absolutely does help the property tax base, but if it costs a lot, the cost of infrastructure to those properties is high, it's going to offset the benefit of annexation.
it wasn't that long ago, in 2018, that this council and the planning commission thought all of this was a great idea to annex this property to the town and everybody would prosper. Just because a developer didn't fulfill his obligation doesn't mean that we should revert back to the way it was before.
At that point, they only had limited taps, and those went down now, were reallocated, so that the taps are not
The
available.
town was looking for development, Mr. Mason, and the conditions in which you mentioned that made it beneficial for annexation changed when the economic development didn't occur there.
That doesn't take the burden off the property owner to fulfill his obligation that he agreed to.
I understand, but I'm a bit confused because according to state statute, it automatically goes into disannexation after the development is in default.
Then why are we having this conversation if it's automatic?
Because at the current time, that is not recorded up at the town, at the Marshall County office. We're trying to get it on record that this is disannexed property.
I want to go on record as to saying that as a citizen of this town, I think you're making an extreme mistake by taking property away from the town. That's a big mistake. And that's my opinion, and I want it up on record.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
sharing.
So noted. Anyone online wish to speak at the public hearing? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jean King, King. I live at 307 West Academy Road here in Culver. And I have a couple questions about what parcels we're talking about. Now, I was thinking that the PUD included the field that used to be Mrs. Neidler's field, the field that used to be Linhart's field, and then the two parcels north of 10 and 17. They used to were going to be the gas station. That's 4. So where's the 5th one?
One of the parcels had 2 parcels on it.
Oh,
So
okay.
even though it was one parcel,
Was
it's
that one of
fine,
the-
because there was a second line,
Okay.
so you always have a split.
Was that,
That was on.
the Nylander
where
property?
cows are.
Okay. Then my next question is, I have a question about a 0.46 acre property that was purchased by Mr. Bestie in July of 2018 in his name. And at that time, his name was on the other 5 parcels as well. And when shortly after that, and I believe before he asked for the PUD, he put the 5 parcels in the incorporation name, but not that 0.46 acres. Now, is that correct? So the 0.46 acres was never annexed. That's what I'm thinking. So now, I just read the document that was sent, the notice of the hearing today, and it mentions the original acres that used to belong to the Linharts, the big field. But it also mentions a document number 202504125. And I'm not sure what that is. Is that the 0.46 acres? reason I'm saying that is it doesn't coincide with the warranty deed number for that 0.46. So what is that? What is that? What is that addition that was added on?
That was a 0.46
That was
acres,
the
which
point.
was taken into Culver investments.
Oh, no, but just like last month. Well, I guess the point I'm trying to make is how can you disannex a 0.46 acre portion included in today's hearing when it wasn't even annexed initially? Maybe I'm splitting hairs, but I'm a semantic person. So I believe that the 0.46 that was added on, and it's in the first paragraph, excuse me, the second paragraph of the notice for the hearing today. And they made a special point of making it at the very beginning of the third paragraph, trying to describe that 0.4 acres. So it makes me think that, let me summarize kind of what I said. I'm thinking that this 0.46 acres was at the time of the PUD was never in the ownership of the incorporation. It was in the ownership of Mr. Vesky only. It was never part of the PUD and it was never annexed. So now he's asking in the hearing for it to be included with the big field that is the parcel that's south of the highway. And he's asking that 0.46 to now be included in this disannexation. I can understand why he wants it to be part of the parcel that he's trying to sell. I understand that. And I understand it's sort of a 0.46 acre area that has no outlet. So that's my concern.
If it was never in the city and we're de-annexing the whole thing, it was never there, it's de-annexed anyway. It's gonna be
Was it part of the
de-annexed
PUD is my question.
out. It expired.
Has it been annexed? Can someone answer that question for me? I understand it's in the property of the incorporation now, but that just happened about a month ago.
Is your property in the city?
No, and I'm glad it's not. Thank you for the question. I'm not sure what the importance of that question is, but thank you.
Mrs. King's comments bring up a question for me. Why are you just wanting to de-annex part of the PUD and not the entire PUD?
Are you asking me why I want to be?
I'm asking the developer, Mr. Bestie, why just part of this PUD or just this particular parcel versus the entire PUD? Because at one point, this was all put under a PUD, and I know that PUD was never developed, but why aren't you asking for all of it to be de-annexed instead of just this part?
Talking to Bob at Utilities, it seems that there may be some available taps, but not as many as we would need to develop the whole site. So if we see that there's some taps available, we're holding on to 22 acres. I mean, we want to develop the property, but if there's not enough taps to develop all of it or most, that's why we're getting rid of or de-annexing the one piece. The 22 acres, we're keeping that for future development. So that we want to keep in the city. We'd love to develop it. I think it'd be a great fit. So that's why that parcel is staying in.
Okay, I think, on the advice of our attorney, we have some questions that are unanswered.
Karen has looked it up on Beacon. That piece of property is not annexed currently.
So if it's not annexed, though, it shouldn't even be part of the conversation.
It's not.
Okay,
I thought you said it was included in the petition.
it is.
Okay, well then we should clean that up.
We should, the petition was given to us with that in there. We received the petition from the property owner. So that property should be in there.
I completely understand why he wants to include the 0.4 with the future big field. I understand the whole concept. I'm not quite sure I understand why he wants to disannex it, but I understand the Indiana code that you mentioned. I understand that. So what I'm saying is just to kind of, make sure that this is all tied with a bow.
Right.
This
I
this
think-
0.46 should not be included in this hearing.
Okay, I think, on the advice of council, I think what we're going to do is continue the public hearing at a different time.
And you need to pick a time though while you're in the hearing.
I'm
You
sorry.
need to pick a time for when you're gonna reset it. So you need to have
Okay.
Karen give a date and a time while we're still.
Well, you think we get an answer on all this by next meeting?
Or give yourself a
Month?
Okay, that should be enough.
What do you think, Karen?
We have 3 weeks before the next meeting, so you could do it during the next meeting.
Okay, I think during the next meeting. So during that, we'll continue the public hearing. We'll close this public hearing.
I'm sorry, I do have one more question.
Well,
When,
may we procedurally go ahead here?
it's another question about this.
Well, let's
Okay.
procedurally close this hearing. Okay. All right. I'll take a motion to,
Close this hearing.
Mr. Neer moves to close the hearing. Second.
Well,
Second,
you're not, I'm gonna stop you. I'm sorry. You're not technically closing it. You're continuing.
we'll continue it. All right.
I don't want to say close.
So if you have a question, ma'am, go ahead and proceed.
This is about notification of property owners. I know that when the zoning was changed to the PUD, all the property owners are notified by mail of the hearing. And recently, there was a hearing scheduled for the middle of August about subdividing that field. And we were all given notices to the mail. So well, first question is would this de-annexation, should that have been a notification in the mail to the property owners as well? And will the next meeting will we be notified in the mail of the next meeting that continues its hearing?
So I can answer your first question, but a disannexation requires adjacent property owners to be notified individually, otherwise it's a public notice. So-
See,
so
it
no.
does.
If you're adjacent, are you adjacent to it? You're not adjacent to it. then
Well, I will speak for Barbara Linhart. I called her on the phone today and she did not receive one and she's very adjacent. So,
I'm not saying that she did or didn't. I'm just telling you.
no, what I'm saying is I'm not exactly adjacent. I'm adjacent to and close to it now. Now you're right. I'm not adjacent, not to this one. But again, I'll reiterate, I did talk to somebody who is adjacent and did not receive a notice. So will those adjacent property owners receive notification of a continuation of the hearing next month?
Petitioner gives the notice, so I'd assume that he'll meet with his counsel and give the proper notices. If somebody didn't get notice, then the hearing would be, have a reason to be not satisfactory. So we'll leave it to counsel to provide the proper notices. But yeah, and I'm talking off the top of my head here, so that's what I remember as far as notices go. I'm just trying to give you an answer.
Not sure I got an answer. So who does send those notices out?
Counsel for the petitioner.
Counsel for the petitioner.
So. Guidance.
All right, well, you should continue this hearing until you get clarification on Ms. King's issue. And you can set it for 3 weeks. I'm just making the point that when you continue a public hearing, you need to pick a new date while the hearing's in session. So you're gonna make a motion to continue this and reschedule the continuance of it.
6:30 PM Thursday, November 13th.
November 16th.
13th.
Pardon?
November
13th.
13th. November 13th, 6:30.
The council. Mr. Neer. Second. Mr. Terry. Roll call, please.
William Cleavenger,
Aye.
Jenny Monroe,
Aye.
Dean Lanier.
Aye.
Sally Ricciardi.
And I would just comment that, and I'm not trying to be critical of anybody in particular, but when you have objections to what is going to happen with this board, you want your thoughts to be digested by the board and some sort of action taken on, it's best to put that in writing. You don't have to hire an attorney. You don't have to just put it in writing, point out what you're trying to say and provide it to the board ahead of time rather than them trying to digest that information live immediately at the moment without having any chance to do any kind of individual research. So that's just a bit of procedural is an advantage to do that. I'm just, in general, the general public, I think, doesn't necessarily know that they can do that. So you can do that.
And I appreciate that, but I really didn't even realize that this was happening. I knew the meeting was happening tonight, but I didn't realize until I saw these two different.
Fair enough. I wasn't trying to pick on you. I was just trying to use this as an opportunity.
I appreciate that.
Okay. See that Mr. Standley is not here tonight, so new business.
No.
Oh, yes.
I'm Tracy Gordon. I'm the Executive Director of Visitor Center here in Culver. I'm here on his behalf. He was, had some health issues in the hospital this morning, so I'm here. And I am, since this was kind of a last minute thing, I'm hoping that you'll be gentle and help me through this. I know in the past that we've asked for $30,000 for the year to be used for the Culver Lake Max Kentucky Visitor Center. Funds have been used to support the employees and various events such as Winterfest, Fall Fest, Lake Fest, Holiday Hop, and we work with local businesses to bring tourism to Culver. One of the things that we want to do next year is really start to work with Airbnbs and any other type of Airbnb, any type of overnight stay company or organization, so that we can really start to focus on letting the people that are staying here, maybe they're here for one thing, but then letting them know about everything else that we have here as well. So things like the magnets, things like our maps that we put together are so that they know what our businesses are, when our businesses are there. Really focusing on redeveloping our website and using not only Town Gown and Lake, because I feel like that's for us here, but really pushing out towards outside of Marshall County as well.
Thank you. Next, we have an appointment to the Marshall County Unsafe Building Board. I'd like to add that since Jonathan Police resigned, I have assumed that appointment. And that's been a number of 3 or 4 years. I will open to any other counselor that wants to be interested, or I will indicate my interest to continue on that board.
Your experience in this is, I'll tag around once in a while to learn, but recommend you continue in that role.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion by Mr. Neer to allow Bill Cleavenger to be appointed for the board, and this is an annual appointment every year. May I have a second? Second by Mr. Ricciardi. Roll call.
Mr. Cleavenger.
Aye.
Mr. Neer.
Aye.
Ms. Monroe.
Aye.
Mr. Shardy.
Thank you very much. Okay, board and commission report. Mr. Garza.
Good evening. So I gave you all copies of the certified proposal to amend the Culver zoning ordinances. The
Plan Commission voted favorably to recommend that. You have signed copies of the original that they signed. Forward that to you. Those copies are for you all to review for those recommended changes for the zoning ordinances. Those ordinances, that's just for sections, Articles 1 through 6. There's like 9 pages. I don't expect y'all to read it tonight, but I wanted to give it to you. You have an opportunity to look it over. It'll probably need to come up at another, maybe at the next meeting for an opportunity for y'all to talk about it. Maybe have a legal notice if you want to have a public hearing on it. That would be good. So enjoy your reading on that. You can call me if you have questions. Please feel free to do that.
Right, that's a statute. You have to send a certified proposal. They have to be back to you. That's.
I don't recall
All
those.
right, I'll check on it. Get with you.
Yeah,
I don't think it's overly.
90 days sounds right.
All right.
Okay, and for the building commissioner report, flagging report. So in September, building permits applied for were just 7. It was 9 in August. Total fees collected for building permits, fence, roof, and electrical permits. The BZA and Plan Commission applications, Culver received $2,410. And for August, it was also $2,410, coincidentally, same numbers. Zoning ordinance update, I gave that to you. Unsafe structures, 440 South Ohio. They are working on renovating that house. I didn't get by it this week. I talked to their contractor who's going to be putting a new roof on it. I talked to the owners to make sure that they get a building permit because they were taking some walls out, putting some walls in without a permit. So I stopped that work until they get their permit. 220 Culver, that garage with the hole in the roof is pending. And the same with 210 South Slate Street. So that owner actually needs to be made contact, and probably, I think a demolition order is going to be in order for that garage because that owner's failed to act after multiple times I've made contact with them. TRC had 2 meetings in September. The Plan Commission in September heard 1 case. BZA heard 1 case in September. Prior to that, they were off for 2 months, and I think their BZA is going to be off again in November. Those are the highlights.
Gorski. Done a great job.
Thank you.
You can come back anytime you want.
Appreciate that. I do have one question before I go. Didn't Culver previously de-annex some property? Did I?
It was
About-
Associates. It was,
About 10, 15 years ago?
yeah, it was on Cass Street, I believe.
Okay, yeah, I saw that ordinance.
Yeah, it's there.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Before we move on, I'd like to clear up something, not to reopen that discussion, but clear, because I don't want there to be confusion about what I said. When somebody petitions the board for something that has to do with property, typically the Indiana code puts the burden on that individual to provide the notices that the statute requires. Now, when there's a public hearing, the board gives notice of that. And under the disannexation statute that I'm looking at, 36-4-3-17, the notice requirement is a public notice, which would be your notice in the paper, posting on the door. It would not be individual notices mailed to property owners, whether they're adjacent or not. And I don't think that statute either puts a burden on the petitioner. So it's very possible that your friend did not get a notice because it wasn't required. Okay, all right.
Mr. Ricciardi, Redevelopment Commission.
We had our monthly meeting and discussed the plan, spending plan for Redevelopment Commission 2026. And mainly, we had a nice discussion with some of the people who were in the audience. But mainly we were looking at focusing on Main Street, park improvements, sewer plant improvements, and side grants. But we also talked about park upgrades at the theater, some other, and also at the school. So Marty will be at our next meeting, discussing bringing in a copy of our proposal. Town. Ask him any questions you want.
Thank you.
I'll put the link in his bag.
Mr. Alfred, Tree Commission.
We had our meeting on the 15th, Kevin attended, and due to delays within the program, the grant program that we were involved with UVI, this is getting moved into next year. So at that meeting, I expressed my skepticism because of the delays with the program, and our commission and Kevin got together and devised a new plan going into 26. As far as we're going to keep it in place, and we're going to try and get this accomplished because it's 100 trees for $3,200 is a pretty good deal. There's no reason to say no to it if we could get it and get a plan right. So we're going to go ahead with this, and hopefully in the spring we'll be able to accomplish this. Dennis Bodorf and I went out the other day and we got 100 spots that we can utilize for those types of trees that are left on that nursery list. And we should be able to get a little more variety in the spring. So we're going to continue with that for now. That's the plan. In our tour of the town again to remap this, and we were able to, with this program, we could go into Cavalier Park, we could go to the park, we could private property. Not like the tree commission there, we're restricted by parkways only. So we're going to try and use the 100 trees we get on those type of properties, and then use our budget going forward to work with Dogwood Hills. We've had very good experience in the past in parkway trees. Because those are in the kind of the premier going in and out of access to towns. So we want to make sure we get a good tree selection there. I'm going to be doing this walk through, ride through. We noticed going in that Cavalier Park. Who takes care of Cavalier Park as far as
It's an ongoing question, John. It's the split responsibility between the town and the school for the maintenance. The school does a lot of the mowing and upkeep of Cavalier Park, but there's also there's been kind of a shared agreement for that. One of the main questions, John, I think that you have that Bob shared with me is who's caring for the trees, because we do have some stakes out there that really need removed, and Bob noted that to me this morning, and some things that need to be done with those trees. So if you'll be patient, I've talked to Karen Schumann about that, and that's part of an ongoing conversation with our Parks Department. And Marty and I have talked about it with redevelopment terms. I know that park was a shared project with Stellar. Jenny's here, who kind of was an architect of that, and she might be able to better serve what was the original intention behind that.
Yeah, I think in that agreement, the Okra agency that oversees that particular grant insisted that the maintenance had to be done by the property owner of the school. But because we were the sponsor of the project, we kind of looked at it as like a partnership. But from a maintenance standpoint, it is school-owned property. And I think we even had to clarify that in our Okra grant agreement at some point. That is a bone of contention for Okra, that it's got to be the landowner basically, or the agency in charge.
Okay, well, I'll admit to vandalism because for the last 2 days, I was those apparatuses that were strangling those 16 trees. Bark is split on them. Nobody's taking care of that. Ever since those trees were planted, nobody is taking care of these trees. So for the last 2 days, I cut all that stuff out. The stakes have to come out. I can't get those stakes out.
We talked about it.
And I pruned the trees and I rearranged the mulch. But there's still weeds all through whatever shrubbery was planted around the buildings. That's all weeded. So nobody's taking care of it.
And it's been, and John, you're right to note that, during the redevelopment meeting, there's been some conversation about Cavalier Park in terms of a larger project-based thing, but also the maintenance of it. And one of the discussions has to do with driving it well, so we can have some water for the care of those trees and the yards, the soccer fields that are out there. But also I've talked to Karen about the maintenance around the buildings in terms of weeding, mulch, and then on the path as well. So it's part of an ongoing conversation.
And it has room, we could put 30 more trees in.
Yeah.
So that's the plan, but
Okay,
it's not much sense putting trees in if they're not gonna be taken care of.
that's the truth.
And
Yeah,
I'm just,
I think for redevelopment to contribute, John, it would have to be a project. We can't technically do operational types of things. But if we said, hey, we're gonna enhance the park project, put in a well and upgrade the landscaping, et cetera, then we could probably contribute from a redevelopment standpoint. We just can't maintain it as an ongoing operational cost.
and the street department has that container that I've been using to water trees. You can get that out there and water trees. Right now, it's just weeds and I took care of the trees today, so somebody can get in there and get some weeds out. That would help.
Thank you, John.
For doing that. Thanks for doing that.
Okay. Mr. Dante.
I think you're bringing a lot of good ideas. I'll wait for Mr. Mason to finish. Sorry. In terms of the town manager's note tonight, we have some business to kind of proceed on from our executive session on Tuesday. So given the information that I provided the council during the 1021 executive session, I'd like to ask the council to consider a motion for the dismissal of Mr. Scott Erickson from the EMS department due to misconduct as defined within Group 2 rules of our personnel handbook.
I'll make the motion to.
Mr. Ricciardi moves to terminate Mr. Erickson. Is there a second?
Second that.
Second that by Mr. Neer. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cleavenger,
Aye.
Mrs. Monroe,
Aye.
Mr. Neer.
Aye.
Ms. Ricciardi.
Thank you, council. I'll communicate with my department head and we'll move forward. Thank you. Try to have one request of the council from Ms. Porter. We're looking into a purchase of a head for our sweeper for an attachment head. We're looking at it primarily for trail maintenance with our new trail and with the existing trails, but also for small jobs when we're doing patching, some utility work around the street when we have to open up the street for water or whatever. It'd be convenient not to have to pull out, be able to get a smaller sweeper out there to take care of things. He has done some extensive shopping. This has been a labor of love for 2 months, but we found an 84-inch open face broom, Erskine. It's from WHE Heavy Equipment and Sales Rental out of Wakarusa, Indiana. And the quoted price for the sweeper head would be $6,400. It attaches to our existing equipment, so it would be. He's done some bargain shopping. We started off they're a little bit pricier than what we thought. They range, you can buy from about 12,000 if you want to get the deluxe model, but Bob found a good one at 6,400. I'd ask the council for consideration of approval.
And that just comes from Steve.
For Bob's budget, yeah.
I think motion approved.
Mr. Neer moves to approve purchase of the sweeper. Mr. Ricciardi seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cleavenger.
Aye.
Mrs. Monroe.
Hi.
Mr. Neer. Mr. Ricciardi.
Just some updates and some of them I'm picking up as I go. John, thanks for that communication and especially bringing that up about Cavalier Park, because I know Crystal's getting volunteer organizations, especially on the pathways, some for weeding projects and in the park. But I think she also would like to play a more active role in Cavalier Park. And maybe that's something we can organize some of the, especially at the high school as well. Organization, community labor is good, right? And I think that would be a great project for kids to invest themselves into their own, especially since it's school ground. I'll talk to the football team on that one. Maybe we'll get some guys, get some exercise out of them, especially in the off season, maybe. Definitely we'll get to those. We met with, today I met with Stephanie and Emerson, following up on the IU. They're going to schedule a visit. They'd like to communicate with you directly. I asked them to do that. They're going to come up, and what she's going to do is actually put those in the GIS. She's going to upload those locations as you give them to her. So I would ask her to do that. I didn't know you had the 100 already, so that's going to make the work pretty easy. But I'd like for her to spend the day with you if you have time. I don't want to impose, but just communicate directly and we'll get those uploaded. I gave her a deadline. I'd like to see it done by the second week of November. So
They have it before that.
I think so.
This is matching up trees to.
And maybe that's something we could just hand her then at that point. I wasn't privy to the fact that you had already done the work, so I appreciate that, and I'll communicate to you tomorrow, definitely. Again, appreciated David at Lakeshore, and we tried to work, our business owners were really patient, and I know the frustration, but they were very reasonable in conversations, and we tried to resolve matters as they came up, and they communicated well with us, especially on the issue that we had first with the signage, and we were able to remedy that due to their input. The redevelopment and the downtown revitalization market gap analysis came in. I shared it with the council via email. I apologize, it's upside down. You all just rotate it, you'll be fine. But those are interesting. There's 3 different proposals on the table, 3 different price points, and the value, I think, is the one thing I would concentrate on. They offer different perspectives and different services, and I'd like the council's input. I think we'd like to move on that in November. So if you have any comments or anything, please reach out. Questions are welcomed as well through email, and I'd like to hear from you. Last point on the disannexation. I don't want to continue the conversation, but one of the things I found interesting in listening tonight definitely is just getting the records cleared up. There's a lot of history behind this property. Accordingly, with the economic development agreement, the reasons why the town entered into that annexation initially, I've tried to do some archaeology and history given the documents. The original intent was that the town was getting involved in this annexation simply, historically, if I'm reading the documents correctly, we got involved in this annexation simply because we were in shopping for housing. The town had a need for housing. It was an express need within our comprehensive plan, and they were trying to address that comprehensive plan with this expansion. That expansion did not occur. Reasons not important. We were not able to fulfill that economic development agreement, and there was a default clause in there absolving the town of any responsibility for utilities. That was always present and always prevalent. There's the question of utilities, which is resolved by that economic development agreement. The hesitation to do any type of subdivision of that property is because the parcels change. And if they're sold, then who's responsible for the utilities? That's the question I have and I'm worried about, because we are talking over a quarter of a mile to get connected service. That is not cheap. I agree with Mr. Mason. There's a benefit taxation wise or property tax. However, the concern here is utilities and the cost of it and the rising cost of providing utility lines to that property. I looked at state statute today. I'd like the counselor to consider the state statute, but according to my reading of the state statute, the minute that economic development agreement was defaulted because of 3 years without development, those properties automatically went into disannexation, the correct term, disannexation. All of the parcels mentioned in that economic development agreement are no longer annexed by the town. The problem is, Mr. Mason raised the question, then why have the hearing? Because currently on Beacon, they still show those as annexed in the recorder's office. What I think is, I would like us to pause understand legally where we're at and what needs to be remedied correctly according to the state statute and move forward. So I'm glad that we had this moment tonight. I just wanted to add that in there. But in my understanding of the state statute, I think that they're already disannexed, and I just want to make sure the town is protected against absorbing the costs on utility provisions. Because quite frankly, we simply cannot afford that at this moment. So that is my analysis of it. Thank you, council, and I appreciate you hearing.
Mr. Dante, are you going to ask for an emergency appointment?
Yes, sir. Mr. Cleavenger, I appreciate you reminding me of that factor. Mr. Halfeld asked me to address the council.
I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
You absolutely didn't. You saved me from missing out on a point of business that I was supposed to attend to. I appreciate you, sir. Good memory. Mr. Hausfeld asked me, pending the results of what we did with Mr. Erickson, he would also like, since we're going to be down now a paramedic, he would like to ask that he fulfill that position next week. I'm going to allow him to do his process, and then come back to me next week with a recommendation of whom he wants to hire. I wouldn't call it an emergency hire, but we have a need. He thinks he can fill it. I'd ask the council to go ahead and proceed with that. This would be independent of what he asked earlier for a fifth hire or an additional hire, but to fulfill this position. I'd ask for a motion to approve, Mike. To do that?
To approve, yes.
Mr. Neer moves to approve the addition of a additional paramedic.
It'd be.
That's not.
No, we're not. I'm sorry. A replacement, Mr. President, a replacement.
Replacement.
If I could, please.
Another second. Second by Mr. Ricciardi. The roll call, please.
Mr. Cleavenger.
Aye.
Mrs. Monroe.
Aye.
Senior.
Aye.
Mr. Ricciardi.
Thank you. Just from point of clarity, is the individual, you're promoting somebody to a paramedic?
No, we're not promoting somebody to paramedic. He's going to appoint a new paramedic to replace the existing
But the person
position.
that doesn't work for the town now.
I can't answer that because he's going to go through the process. I think what he has in mind is somebody that is a part-time employee currently.
Okay, I'm just from an HR perspective.
Yes.
Sometimes it gets tripped up. When you do these temporary promotions, if you're promoting them into a role that pays more or something, you got to make that adjustment.
Is it a temporary promotion or are you
No, it's
allowing them to hire?
he's hiring a permanent full-time
All right.
employee.
Okay,
Yep.
no problem then.
But I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you.
There's a lot that's not said. Put it that way.
Yeah, and I think was it our last meeting, we approved the separate full-time role, an additional role on top of the current staffing. So I'm assuming we're getting applications from that one being advertised.
That is correct. And that's,
Help replace this one.
yes.
Okay, thanks.
No, that is it for me.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Heim.
Yes, I have three claims over 2,500 for your approval. But I would start out with, are you all okay contributing to Marshall County Hope? You had kind of made a commitment previously. And I asked you about it. You asked Mr. Starr that you wanted to hear from Mr. Starr, so he was here this evening. Are you comfortable proceeding? And that contribution would be $4,789.
I'm comfortable with us making that contribution, so I'll make that motion, Karen.
Okay.
Second motion.
Yeah. Ms. Monroe, did you make the motion?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Ricciardi seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cleavenger.
Aye.
Mrs. Monroe.
Aye.
Here.
Aye.
Mr. Ricciardi.
Aye.
And I'm kicking myself because I should have just had to do all in motion. But going with when someone's absent, we have more motions than usual. The other two items, so I would be asking for approval of the Marshall County Hope claim for $4,789 out of opioid restricted and unrestricted funds. Milestone contractors for $458,732.32. I'm sorry, 34. That is for the community crossings Lakeshore Drive project. 75% of that is from the community crossings grant. The other 25% are local funds. And then finally, our Bachman Concrete, $8,561, and that is for concrete work done for the street department.
Make a motion to approve those expenditures of 2,500.
Mr. Shardy moves to approve expenditures over 2,500.
Second.
Second by Mr. Neer.
Mr. Cleavenger,
Aye.
Mr. Ricciardi.
Aye.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna mix it up. Mr. Neer, Mrs. Monroe.
Aye.
The only other thing I have is, well, two things. I wanted to report that the budget was submitted on time. I was down at the AIM Summit this week in French Lick and met with Jason Cockrell, who is the new head of DLGF, or the Department of Local Government Finance. They ran into an issue with the certified net assessed values. And so they can't start processing budgets until those certified net assessed values are submitted and approved. So the next step, we're just waiting on that to happen, and they'll start reviewing budgets. And once those are approved, we'll get a 1782 notice. We'll submit that, and hopefully by the first of the year, they'll be back on track. The other thing, I sat in several sessions on Senate Enrolled Act 1 regarding property tax and lit. I think I'm to a point after repetitive nature or hearing it over and over again that I think I can explain it at some point, and I'll probably just grab some of the presentations and put something together for y'all and share it. But I will say that Culver is going to be adversely affected. So it's not going to be so much next year. It's going to be more 27, 28. That things are going to change, and we need to be prepared for that now. I do know that AIM had a group, they had several groups working over the last couple of months. One of them was lovingly termed the Council of Nerds, as they were going through line by line the lit calculations and how it would affect, and what by identifying where some issues are. They've also talked with the legislators, and the legislators are aware that there are problems with Senate Enrolled Act 1 as far as some of the things that are put in place. It was just passed probably a little too quickly. And so they knew that they were going to have a corrections bill this upcoming session. So I think not everything that's in Senate Enrolled Act 1 will actually come to fruition. At the same time, we need to start planning like it is. The third thing that was really encouraged was collaboration. We are now going to be dependent on the county to approve the lit tax. And the tax rates can be different for cities and towns over 3,500. The maximum lit that cities and towns under 3,500 can have is 1.2. The total maximum rate for a county is 2.9. And if you add up all the maximums for all the different taxing units in the county, it actually adds up to like 3.0 or 3.1. So someone's not going to get the maximum requested. Right now, Marshall County is not at the maximum. We actually have a very low lit rate. But they are encouraging starting conversations now, getting with the county, getting with the other taxing units in the county. One of the sessions I went to this morning was from Baker Tilly. I know the county uses Baker Tilly. We use Baker Tilly. I think a lot of other communities in Marshall County do use them. And they've gone into a couple of counties and basically made a presentation to say, this is what we anticipate happening as far as property tax rates. Here's how it's going to affect you. Here's how the lit rates are going to affect. And getting everybody on the same page. So I would really encourage you as council members to read up on it. I'll share the information that I have, but I know AIM is sending out a lot of information. Hopefully we can get something together, like a conversation in the next month or so. I'd really encourage you to make the time to attend. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Consulation, Mr. Mayor.
Just 3 quick comments. We're blessed to have you, Karen, represent Culver at those AIM conferences. Your knowledge is incredible. Thank you for that. Also, want to thank all the Fall Festival volunteers and organizers. It's going to be a great weekend for us starting tomorrow. And then to Bob, thank you for your amazing work over the year. Steve, excuse me. I might say that to you. You too, Steve. We're thankful for all your work and and you're so professional, you're so kind, and you're thorough. And so thank you for all your work you've done for us.
Mr. Curry.
I don't know if anybody else's calendar says it or not. This second meeting next month is going to be on Thanksgiving.
Yes.
So
So would you like to reschedule that to Tuesday? Well, no, we can't do it on Tuesday.
It's on here already, Karen.
What's the date? What's the date on the agenda?
November 25th.
No, that's not good either. 23rd is Thanksgiving. The 21st is a plan commission meeting. You could go the week after the 28th.
Says Tuesday, November 20.
25th, November 25th.
Oh, you know what? I'm looking at it.
27th.
That's why. Sorry. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's the
Sorry.
25th. Sorry, I needed to change my calendar. Ready for November, but yeah.
You're so prepared, you don't even realize.
then Tuesday. Same time, right?
Yes. Yep.
Ms. Monroe.
I know Steve is going to have his last week coming up, and I just wanted to thank him for raising the bar. The previous building inspector, me, was terrible at that job. Steve took a hot mess and really cleaned it up. I really appreciate all you did, Steve, to do that and to help us establish, a higher standard of practice in that role. Appreciate your organization and everything you're going to leave behind to help out the next person. And I will get you those brownies before your last day.
Thank you.
There you go.
Steve, I want to thank you. You've done an excellent job. And we're going to miss you.
Well, I'll miss you all also. Miss time down here, but I'm not far. I'm in Plymouth and we're running for a county office, so I'll be available.
All right, thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor moves to adjourn.
On second.
Second by Mr. Ricciardi. Roll call, please.
Mr. Cleavenger.
Aye.
Mrs. Monroe.
Aye.
Junior.
Aye.
Mr. Ricciardi.
Aye.
Hi, guys. Thanks for putting up with a remote person tonight.
Well,
Thank you.
Hope you feel better, Jenny.
Steve.
Thanks. I'm turning the corner.
one of my best